Sheene, and then it's the personable New Zealander Graeme Crosby. And the sensational 20-year-old American Freddie Spencer, in his first full year of Grand Prix racing, has a mathematical chance too. Kenny Roberts is in pole position on the starting grid on his V4 Yamaha, ahead of Uncini, Spencer, Crosby, and missing there from the grid is Bert van Dulmen, the Dutchman, who is a superb rider, who was in that position on the grid, who expected to do well in the damp conditions, but who had trouble in the warm-up and is miserably having to sit in the pits and watch a race he might well have won. So, very shortly, with the riders leaning on the handlebars, the brake on, and now off, the British Grand Prix starts, and straight into the lead goes one of the Galena Suzukis. It could well be Franco Uncini, and it is, they're going into the lead. Surprise, totally unexpected, is Stuart Avant, the New Zealander, on a privately owned machine, and he's done brilliantly in practice. And in second place behind him, it's Marc Fontaine, the Frenchman, in third position, and this is significant. It's Katayama, and down, and there's a fire there. I can't identify the machine until I see the number. It's Graeme Wood who's off again. Graeme Wood has fallen off a lot. I can't identify the other fallen rider at the moment, but it is still Avant leading. Fontaine is in second position on lap 1, and Takazumi Katayama, the Japanese rider on the 3-cylinder Honda, which has won one Grand Prix. The bike on fire. Will they stop it before they come round? Yes, they will. Superb marshalling. Very good firefighting equipment here. It's Roberts. Kenny Roberts is out of the race. It's not his machine afire, obviously, but Kenny Roberts on the first corner, the man who was so well placed in the World Championship, and that's his petrol tank behind it. There is Kenny Roberts lying there, his helmet's off. That's the man I couldn't identify. Kenny Roberts obviously conscious, but from the way he is not moving, I suspect that his leg has been hurt, his left leg. Now, are they going to keep the race going? The course is damp, particularly on this section, and out goes the course car. There'll be the doctor in that. I'm watching for the flags, and meantime, coming through at the end of lap 1, it's Takazumi Katayama on the Honda, and then Uncini, and behind him Fontaine, and then Stuart Avant. And they're coming up to Copse Corner with Uncini, the World Championship leader, going through and taking the lead from Katayama in this already tremendously sensational race. And they pass Kenny Roberts on the left, and it looks to me as though he was sitting up. And the machine that was afire is out. Now, let's have a look at Kenny Roberts as the rest of the riders go through. And Takazumi Katayama, the ex-350cc world champion, with Kenny Roberts obviously not able to move, is in second place, Katayama, and Uncini, who has already this year won 4 Grand Prix, to put in 20 points ahead of Barry Sheene, who is in hospital, Kenny Roberts, who is out of the race, and if Uncini stays in the top 10, which he's likely to do, Roberts being lifted over the palisades into safety, and it's quite obvious that he has hurt himself, and we'll let you know as soon as we know ourselves what the trouble is. Meantime, Uncini, number 10, leads. Katayama, number 15 on the Honda, is in second place. In third position, it's Marc Fontaine. And of course, the fact that the circuit is still a bit damp on parts is going to throw the whole thing wide open. John Surtees.
Yes, well, the main thing is, of course, as they get some warmth into their tyres, they'll be able to cope with the dampness a little better. Whether Roberts' incident was due to a collision with the other bike or not, we haven't been able to see yet. But it's, of course, a disastrous start, and we sincerely hope, of course, that he hasn't been injured.
Yeah, and in fourth position now is Loris Reggiani, who is the young Italian, who is the second of the 2 Team Galena riders, the first of whom is the leader, Franco Uncini there, number 10. So it's Uncini, Katayama, Fontaine, Reggiani, and then Freddie Spencer. That number 12 is 20-year-old Freddie Spencer, the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix. This young rider who has been racing for so very long in his comparatively short race, some 12 years, and Spencer is a very likely winner now because he can catch up Uncini. The Honda is the quickest bike on the straight in practice. Suzuki leads machine. Honda is in second place. Fontaine on the Yamaha in third position, then Loris Reggiani, then Freddie Spencer, And Graeme Crosby is coming up. In spite of those injured palms of his, Graeme Crosby, the man who has yet to win a Grand Prix and who is in a commanding position in the World Championship. Well, 4th position. There he is. Look for number 5, Graeme Crosby. There is the gritty New Zealander, Graeme Crosby. And if you can see his gloves, which you can hardly expect to do, they're very padded out so that the friction between the handlebars and the handlebar rubbers on the palms of his hands will be minimised. And behind him is Kork Ballington, and a Marshall leaving it very late to get out of the way. Sweeping the circuit, Uncini already lapping somebody, and it's still Katayama, and Freddie Spencer is up into 3rd position. So now we have Honda's 2nd and 3rd.
Well, it's a tremendous start to the race, of course. And now, of course, the lines through the corners will be drying out. These wide tyres, some of these 500s have tyres 8.5 inches wide, will now be sort of cutting a path through, and the thing will be drying out. Spencer, of course, is an American who is normally not rated relative to damp and wet circuits, but he's certainly showing different here.
Well, we learned at the Transatlantic Trophy some years ago not to scorn the Americans. We look at Kork Ballington on the Kawasaki. There is Mark Fontaine. Number 8 is Kork Ballington. So it's Takazumi Katayama, number 15, in 2nd place. Spencer on the Honda in 3rd position. Then it's Loris Reggiani, and Kork Ballington is coming up, and Graeme Crosby is in there as well. Stuart Avant must be proud of himself if he's got time to even think about it, as Uncini leads, and Spencer is going to come up and take 2nd position from his teammate, and he's done it. Now, Freddie Spencer, number 12, on the sensational 2-stroke 3-cylinder Honda, is up into 2nd position, and Katayama is going to lose 3rd position to whom? It's Reggiani. Reggiani is going through. Young Loris Reggiani, only 22 years old, from Forlì in Italy. So, Uncini Suzuki leads. Spencer Honda 2nd. Katayama Honda 3rd. Reggiani Suzuki in 4th position. Freddie Spencer is 5th in the World Championship, 45 points to Franco Uncini's 88 points. Freddie Spencer won in Belgium, 4th in Yugoslavia, 2nd in Italy, 3rd in the Argentine. And look at the way Katayama is hanging on. Katayama, who has been in the doldrums, that's number 15 in 3rd position, been in the doldrums for the last 2 or 3 years, having been world champion in the 350 class. He was there largely because he was trying to develop the NR 500cc 4-stroke Honda, which was not all that successful, but a development of which is being ridden by Ron Haslam in this race. Now, you know what the gap was on the previous lap. Here is Uncini, the race leader, the World Championship leader, 4 Grand Prix to his credit this year, going out of Woodcote, and he is followed by Freddie Spencer, and the gap is 2.86 seconds.
And he's certainly riding like a champion. Uncini has surprised everyone this year, and with the backing of his team, which partly is serviced by some of our old MV Augusta mechanics and a superb Galena organisation, he's really showing everybody how it's to be done.
Now, Franco Uncini, like the rest of the competitors who are on works machines, and there are about 12 of them in this race, is riding a machine which produces some 130 brake horsepower, which pushes all that power down through one patch on these very big rear tyres, which is therefore enormously demanding to ride. It has a better power-to-weight ratio than a Formula One Grand Prix car, and there is Kork Ballington, who is in 4th position now. Kork Ballington, the South African, on the Kawasaki, followed by Loris Reggiani and Mark Fontaine. And now look at Kork Ballington. He has been displaced by Loris Reggiani, who is up into 4th position. That's number 27. 22-year-old Loris Reggiani, the ex-125 rider who won the 125 British Grand Prix in 1980 on a Minarelli. And the news about Kenny Roberts from the medical centre is that he has a suspected, I emphasise suspected, broken right arm. Kenny Roberts then, the man who was 2nd in the World Championship to the man that's disappearing there, Franco Uncini, and 20 points behind him. Looks as though his World Championship chances of 1982 are destroyed, if that is true. Meantime, Spencer remains 2nd, Katayama 3rd, Loris Reggiani 4th, and number 8, Kork Ballington on the Kawasaki. in 5th position. This is the battle for 6th position. Randy Mamola has got it. Ferrari number 43 is in 7th place. Graeme Crosby, number 5 on the Yamaha, is in 8th position. And number 9 is Marc Fontaine in 10th position, who has therefore slipped down 4 places from 6th to 10th. But what about Ferrari's performance, John?
Well, considering all the problems he's had with his broken wrist and the fact that he tried to come back a little early, it's tremendous. And between them, Mamola and himself, it will be the sort of shot that HB Suzuki need, because they've had a dreadful time.
Yes, indeed they have. And there is the Italian from Milan, number 43, Virginio Ferrari, who made his reputation initially when he rode an MV to victory in the Nürburgring German Grand Prix. And so now he's in 7th place, having been in the wilderness all last year and most of the year before. And he's really making a comeback, but Crosby's trying to go through.
Well, perhaps Crosby's now having a sort of second win. Having got over the initial pain and problems, he's probably now settling down to accept it and concentrate on the race. But I have a great admiration for him.
Yes, so have I. Graeme Crosby, who had a sensational debut in Europe in 1979 when he rode a Moriwaki Kawasaki with sit-up and beg handlebars. Then he got a works ride with Suzuki. He is a world champion in the Formula One class in 1980. He's won at Daytona and Imola and this year, and he's riding for Giacomo Agostini's team. And he's in 8th position, 9th. And Marc Fontaine is in 10th position. That's the left-hand rider.
No, in fact,
you see that. He's now up to 7th position, is Graeme Crosby. Well, there are now 2 distinct batches of riders, because with Ron Haslam there, battling against number 48 Giovanni Pelletier on the Morbidelli 500cc machine, and more than holding his own on lap 16 in this 28-lap race. Uncini is now about 5 seconds ahead of Freddie Spencer, who has got Katayama right in his wheel tracks, both on Hondas. 4th, it is still Reggiani, and 5th, it is still Kork Ballington. In 6th position, it's Randy Mamola, but it's still anybody's British Grand Prix. Spencer, there is Katayama, there is Reggiani, there is Kork Ballington, and Graeme Crosby is gaining. Now the gap between Uncini in the lead and Freddie Spencer is 4.23 seconds. So it is slowly coming down. There's Reggiani and Ballington and Crosby.
What we have to remember, Mario, of course, is that Uncini's race is for the World Championship to a large extent now, and there isn't really too much of a chance for Spencer. So, in turn, he will be deciding as to whether to make a little extra effort to stay that much in front or to perhaps settle for an easier pace.
And do, I implore you, watch Graeme Crosby and Kork Ballington, because Crosby in the red leathers on the Agostini Yamaha has got ahead of Kork Ballington and is right up with Loris Reggiani, number 27, on the Galena Suzuki, who is in 4th position. And ahead of Reggiani, there is still, of course, Katayama and Spencer and Uncini. But Crosby is the man of the race, no doubt about it, not only because of the way he is riding, but because he is riding in spite of those injured hands and the more than skinned heels of his hands. And Ferrari is following. There's Crosby, number 5, inside Reggiani, then Ballington, then Mamola, then Ferrari. So the 2 HB Suzukis are together. And we are watching the 4th place man, Loris Reggiani, coming up to Woodcote for the 19th time in this 28-lap Titanic British Grand Prix, and Crosby's going through. Oh, what a lovely bit of riding, John. 4.35 seconds now is the gap between Uncini and Spencer, but Crosby now is up to 4th position, ahead of Reggiani, who is followed by Kork Ballington on the Kawasaki number 8. Remember, 120 to 130 horsepower, 1 patch of rubber, 6 speeds, up to 160 miles an hour on the Stowe Straight, and the fastest lap we have is still 1 minute 29.6, and that is a speed of 117.6 miles an hour, the new lap record for Franco Uncini. There's Haslam, there is Chris Guy, number 23 is Leo Vecchiaroni, the Italian, and it looks as though Ron Haslam is stamping his authority on that place, which is 10th place, and if he finishes in 10th place, he will actually get a World Championship point, and that would be the first World Championship point that the NR5... No, Chris Guy is past him, I spoke too soon. Vecchiaroni, therefore, is in 12th position. Now, between Uncini and the second place man, Freddie Spencer, is 3.5 seconds. Well, 3.5 seconds. And Spencer is gaining. There is Katayama. And Crosby is now lapping a tail-ender. Look at that. One of those is a tail-ender. And 1, 2, 3, 4 men go past him just like that.
And just at that point, as he's going into that corner, he's approaching it in 5th gear. He'll be going down into 3rd, now accelerating up into 4th, and slipping into 5th gear now as he goes into this left-hand curve.
Graeme Crosby from New Zealand, number 5, 27 years old. After the Japanese in 3rd position, 31-year-old Takazumi Katayama. There he is, number 15 on the 3-cylinder Honda. And on the 4-cylinder Yamaha, it is Graeme Crosby.
Just about there is where they snick into 4th gear and then up to 5th, reaching, of course, the maximum speed depending on the wind direction.
And that maximum speed is something like 155 to 165 miles an hour on the Hangar Straight. And look at Crosby gaining. Now he's right with Takazumi Katayama. 15 Katayama, 5 Crosby. Katayama is 3rd, Crosby is 4th, Reggiani is in 5th position. And this could be at the end of this lap where Graeme Crosby moves up into 3rd position, in which case we will have a Suzuki leading, a Honda in 2nd place and a Yamaha in 3rd position.
And they have the slipstream here down into Woodcote, and of course just underneath the bridge here, he'll be putting into the 6th gear. Back into 3rd gear again for Woodcote.
And still the gap is just about 4 seconds between Uncini and Spencer. But it's no 4 seconds between the next 6 riders. Now watch Crosby on the red machine. This is Cop's corner. Is he going to take 3rd position?
Yes! He's stolen the corner.
Crosby through to 3rd. Down to 4th goes Katayama. In 5th position still it's Reggiani. In 6th position is number 8 Kork Ballington. 7th is 43 Ferrari. And in 8th position is Randy Mamola.
You see how he lost the initiative there, though. He went in a little too fast, up onto the concrete, and this in turn made him put the power on a little later and allowed Katayama to put the power on the Honda.
And Katayama is back there. Katayama has regained that 3rd position. Look at them, tucked right into the bubble, the transparent, and now Reggiani joins the battle. Up into 3rd position again goes Crosby. Up into 4th place ahead of Katayama goes Loris Reggiani, the Italian on the Suzuki. Down to 5th goes Katayama. Still in 6th is Kork Ballington. 7th is Ferrari, and 8th, and Mamola is coming up. Randy Mamola is coming through. He's now right up with Kork Ballington. Lap 22. The laps are flying past. It's lap 22 coming to the end of now. In fact, Uncini has completed 22 laps. Spencer is still 2nd. This, the battle for 3rd.
What is interesting, of course, is the speed of the Honda. He was able to pull out there and, in fact, managed to pick up 2 places there, Katayama. So Crosby has a major problem, particularly as Reggiani is, of course, going so very well.
And it is said on the grapevine that a new Honda is being designed to displace this 3-cylinder machine, in which case heaven help the competition, because the 3-cylinder is going superbly well. Only one machine in front, admittedly that of the leader, Uncini, but Spencer in 2nd place on the Honda, Katayama in 3rd, Crosby in 4th, Reggiani in 5th, then Ballington on the Kawasaki. Franco Uncini has just completed his 23rd lap, and the gap between himself and Freddie Spencer is 5.6 seconds. So Uncini is increasing his lead. There is Spencer. You just saw him, number 12. Number 14 there is the Italian Guido Paci. Here is the battle for 3rd. It's still Katayama, but Reggiani is 4th. Crosby goes down to 5th. Ferrari is in 6th position, Ballington is 7th, and Mamola is 8th. But all the time, all round the circuit, positions are changing, and I wouldn't like to bet that they're going to be the same as they are now at the end of lap 28, which is in 4 laps' time at the end of this one.
The Suzuki in this situation isn't sort of showing the speed that it's been reputed to have. The front one, of course, Uncini, is certainly showing that performance, but these other ones here are not quite showing the sharp edge that...
There goes Mamola. There's Crosby in front of him. Reggiani in front of him. And there is Randy Mamola. Now, 15, Katayama. And if Katayama finishes where he is now, it will be the highest position he has occupied in a Grand Prix for a long, long time. And it will really get his tail up.
I think a lot of this is the circuits, Murray, in that a lot of the circuits now have developed into where they're stop-start with chicanes. Silverstone is a real rider's circuit with these fast sweeping corners.
4 more laps to go, including the one that they are on now, as they go through to complete another lap and into a new one. And Graeme Crosby moves up. He takes the lead of his group as he goes into Cops Corner. So that means to say that Graeme Crosby, number 5 on the Agostini Yamaha, is now up ahead of Katayama, ahead of Loris Reggiani, and that will therefore put the flying New Zealander into 3rd position. Freddie Spencer in front of him and Uncini in front of him.
What's good also, of course, is that this machine of Crosby's was built out of spare parts. They were sort of going around their van and finding everything after the accident. So it's a double sort of bonus for the Agostini team.
And let us not forget that out there in front is the seemingly these days invincible Franco Uncini, 27 years old, who comes from Civitanova Marche in Italy, and he is now nearly 6 seconds ahead of Freddie Spencer as we look at number 5, Graeme Crosby, who really does seem to be consolidating his 3rd position ahead of 4th place man Loris Reggiani. And we now definitely have 3 different makes of machines in the first 3 places. And that's Katayama out. Katayama has overdone it. He's out of the race. What the problem is, I know not. I can see no more than you. But I know that Katayama is okay. I've had a message that he is all right. Where is he? Somewhere around there is the Japanese rider, and there he is. So that makes a change, because there's no doubt about the fact that with the very determined Japanese rider who occupied 3rd position behind his teammate Freddie Spencer for so long out of the race, Graeme Crosby there is 3rd, and we therefore have a Suzuki leading, a Honda 2nd, this Yamaha in 3rd position, and then Loris Reggiani in 4th position ahead of Randy Mamola on his way to get championship points in 5th place, and in 6th position Kork Ballington. But Loris Reggiani does not want to do much more of that, or he's going to be off like Katayama.
No, it may be a sign that they're having troubles with tyres. It just may be, because once you start to get to this section of the race and you start to have that happen without any rain, it may be that the tyres are starting to go off.
And Mamola is right with him. Randy Mamola, number 2, the American rider who finished 2nd in the World Championship last year, who won the British Grand Prix in 1980, who has only got 20 points in the World Championship so far, is now right up with 4th place man Loris Reggiani, who seems to have recovered his poise. And as you will see, it looks a lot brighter out on the approach to Woodcote Corner as they come up to complete their 26th lap into the penultimate lap, on which Uncini is already well round Cops Corner. There he is, and the race leader, Franco Uncini. Behind him, Spencer. There is Loris Reggiani, 4th. And the question now, as we look at Freddie Spencer on his way to 12 points in the World Championship, to add to the 45 that he already has, and that'll help him a lot in his World Championship situation. He is in 5th position at the moment, and that'll probably move him up to 4th place, especially with Kenny Roberts and Barry Sheene out of contention. It's going to be a very, very exciting finish to the World Championship, because we still have the Swedish Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix and the German Grand Prix to run after the British Grand Prix at Silverstone today. Freddie Spencer then second.
And can you imagine the sort of efforts that Yamaha are going to put into Crosby after this? Having lost their two front runners in Roberts and Sheene, they're obviously going to give everything to Crosby to see if he can resolve the situation in their favour.
Roberts will get 10 points for third position, which would give him 56 points in all, and that's going to move him up the World Championship ladder. But now, coming towards the end of lap 27, and the gap between Uncini and Spencer, and they are on the last lap, is 6.04 seconds. And Mamola is ahead of Reggiani. There's the change. Randy Mamola, number 2 on the last lap, up to 4th position. There is Ballington and Ferrari. And on the last lap, as we look at now Mamola and Reggiani, it is Uncini leading by 6 seconds from Freddie Spencer on the Honda, with Graeme Crosby in 3rd position, with Randy Mamola in 4th position, Reggiani in 5th position, Ballington in 6th place, Ferrari in 7th place, and in 8th position Mark Fontaine, followed by Beccheroni and Chris Guy, the leading private rider. Well, and there is Crosby. Randy Mamola is not going to catch him. He's going to have to work hard to stay ahead of Loris Reggiani. And there is Reggiani's teammate, number 10, Franco Uncini, clear of Stowe, round to Club Corner in 3rd gear, accelerate on the last lap into 4th gear, 135 miles an hour into 5th gear at Abbey Curve, the left-hander. Now into 6th gear, 150 miles an hour, 11,000 RPM, under the bridge for the last time. Change down into 4th gear for Woodcote Corner, and when he comes out of that, it will be the most wonderful sight a rider can see, the checkered flag, and Franco Uncini has won his 5th Grand Prix of 1982, and he has won it from Freddie Spencer, and the time gap between himself and Spencer was 6.4 seconds. And in 3rd position, it is Crosby. In 4th position, it is Reggiani. And in 5th position, it is Mamola, followed in 6th place by Ferrari. Well, the British Grand Prix, and there is Uncini, knowing that he has added 15 points to the 88 he already had. There are now only 30 points, no, 45 points still to be obtained. But surely we are looking now at the world champion of 1982. And Franco Uncini's 5th win of the year means that in World Championship terms, he is now 35 points ahead of Kenny Roberts. And unless Kenny Roberts can ride again and win all the next 3 races, we have indeed seen the new World Champion of 1982.